Hello and welcome to the very first 72-day Readathon vlog. It's finally here! I'm so excited. We've all been very impatiently waiting for this readathon to finally start. If you don't know what I'm talking about the 72-day readathon that is hosted by Donna over at Donna Marie Reads. You can still join. I will leave every single link in the description down below to Donna's announcement video, to the Discord, to all of the good things, all of the co-hosts who are hosting sprints, me included, are all going to be down in the description below. And if you couldn't tell, I'm very excited. If you don't know, this is because Donna from Donna Marie Reads, once again, she has been hosting 72-hour readathons every single month for the past 2 years, which is insanity. And to celebrate this really joyous occasion, she decided to make 5 different bingo boards for us to focus on for the next 72 days. You can pick one board, you can pick 2. You can, like me, be actually insane and do all of them. But you can do whatever your heart desires, which is why this is perfect. Also, the fact that the boards are a little bit of a mix between reading prompts and also self-care prompts has always been a major plus for me when it comes to these challenges or to Donna's 72-hour reading challenges. So I'm very excited to get into this. It is currently Friday, the 17th of July, and it is go time. I am filming this in the evening because I had work, and then afterwards I had to go and have dinner at my parents' place. I say have to, I didn't have to, but I went to go and have dinner at my parents' place. So we are now officially kicking off the 72-day readathon. Now, the way I want to tackle this is Donna was so kind as to create 5 bingo boards that are going to span the next 10 weeks, which, if I did my math correctly, and I think it's pretty basic, that means we have about 2 weeks for every single bingo board. And I thought to keep it not as chaotic and to have like an overview and just something to focus on, because I feel like if I focus on all 5 boards at once, I'm just going to lose sight of one. I know I'm going to. So I thought it might be fun to actually have a spinner wheel decide which board we're going to start with to focus on. So as you can hopefully see on the screen, I made a spinner wheel that has all 5 boards on it. So we have the chaos path, the dark path, the cozy path, the romance path, and the new path. I always forget one. It's going to happen throughout this video, I'm sure. But let's spin the wheel and see what board we're going to start with to focus on. I'm actually excited. The way that this is perfect. We're going to start this new reading challenge or this new readathon by going with a new board. So let's check out the board. Okay, so for this challenge or for this bingo board, we have a genre I've never tried before, recommended by a friend. You know I'm going to go and I'm going to ask Donna what to read for this, so stay tuned. A new to me author, a debut novel. I don't think I've read a debut novel in a while. A backlist book, a hyped book you've been ignoring, a buddy read translated from another language, a random book off your TBR, that's going to be easy, set in a place you've never been. Honestly, that can be any fantasy novel. Start a series you've never picked up. That's going to be difficult because I am notorious for starting series and then not finishing them. So finding a series that I've actually not started before might actually be a challenge. A new subgenre within your favorite genre. Okay, so I think for this, my favorite genre is either going to be romance or fantasy. So we're going to have to find a new subgenre, which I don't think there's going to be many left in the romance department. So maybe we're going to have to go and look in the fantasy category. I'm very excited to get this going. So if you couldn't tell, what I'm planning on doing is I'm going to release a vlog every 2 weeks focusing on a different path and switch it up. Now, the one thing that I'm not sure what I'm going to do is I could now delete the new path from the spinner wheel, or we could go full chaos gremlin and just keep all 5 boards on there at all times and take the risk of spinning a certain path twice. Okay, so you probably can tell that it's the next day, and I took some time trying to figure out what my TBR was actually going to be, and I'm just going to tell you what I decided on. Okay, so it is currently the next day, and I took some time trying to figure out what my TBR was actually going to be for this bingo board, and I think we figured it out. We are allowed to double up on a couple of prompts, so on 2 prompts we are allowed to double up, even like across boards, but I don't think I'm going to be doing that or I'm going to be needing that. We're going to just have to wait and see. Also, I realized that I think there's about 9, hold on. There's 12 prompts for the bingo boards. There's no way that I'm going to be reading 12 books in the next 2 weeks. That's just not happening. But it's fun to just pick out a TBR. And I'm sure that some of these books that I've picked out for this one will be something that I can read for other bingo boards as well. So we're just gonna go with it. We're just gonna go with it. Also, we are allowed to double up on prompts, so even across boards. So if I finish a book and I can't double up on one of these prompts, it might be interesting to keep it in my back pocket for some of the other boards. But first, the first prompt was to read a genre that I've never tried before. Now, this needed a little bit of looking into because I feel like I've read a lot of genres. I've dipped my toe into a lot of genres. But one of the things that I haven't really read, and I don't think I ever have, is climate fiction. I decided to go with Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. Now, this reads like it's saying it's a post apocalyptic novel of hope and terror. It pairs well with 1984 and The Handmaid's Tale, both of which I have not read, so I don't know what the vibe is going to be. It is set in the early 2020s, which is the time we're currently at. This book was written in 1993, which was the year I was born. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see how many of the things that are in this book are actually going to have come true, how right or how wrong this person was. I'm very intrigued to see how this is going to go. So, one of the prompts that I was very excited about was the book recommended by a friend. So, as you can see, I messaged Donna and she sent me back this video. So yes, Night in the Moth it is. This has been on my TBR for quite some time. So it is about time that we actually get to this one. And I feel like it's only right that I now have to actually finish this book because Donna, the creator of the 72-day readathon, told me that I do need to. So I feel like if I don't finish this in the next 2 weeks, Donna might actually come over here and lynch me. So let's just not do that and let's actually get to this. I might even take it with me when I go and read in the park this afternoon. when the sun actually comes through a little bit more because it's very cloudy right now. The next book is a book that is a new to me author, for which I decided to go with The Silence of the Girls by Pat Barker. Now, I picked this up in Antwerp. I made a book haul from it. And this is focused on Greek mythology, mainly on the Greek Queen Helen. And this is very in right now because with the Odyssey coming out, which I do want to go see in cinemas, I feel like if I want to get the full experience of that movie, I need to go to the cinemas. I'm thinking of doing that next week, so I just want to get into the Greek mythology of it all. And to keep it in the Greek theme, as a debut novel, I decided to read The Song of Achilles. Now, if you don't know, I read Circe a couple of months ago, and I loved that book. I've now seen that Madeline Miller is actually coming out with a new short story, so I'm very excited about that one as well. But The Song of Achilles is where it all started for her, so it only feels fitting to read it, and reading it during this time feels perfect. I did hope that they were going to have The Song of Achilles at the library, but they're all loaned out. So I'm gonna have to see if I can either get it on my Kobo or maybe listen to it. But this seems like the type of book, if it's anything like Circe, that I'm gonna enjoy way more if I actually go and read it with my eyes. Now, the next book could double up. It is a backlist book, but it could also double as a series that I haven't started before, which I'm surprised I actually found a few. Which is the deal? Again, I've wanted to read this. I've been wanting to read this so I can actually get to the series. So, this is also the series that I'm very scared might actually derail this entire readathon because I feel like I might just want to binge through this entire series. But here we are. And then for a hyped book that I've been ignoring, my library, there has to be someone new working there because we got a lot more new releases, and especially the English section. It feels like it's gotten way better because they had alchemized and hardcover sprayed edges. I have no idea how they got this. We even have the little bookmark. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to finish this in the next 2 weeks because this is a chunker. So this might have to be one that gets transferred over into some of the other weeks and to another board as well. I'm pretty sure I can. But yes, this I have seen this everywhere. I even have the original copy on my Kobo before it got taken down. So I have that. But now, obviously, we want to see what the real deal is. And I heard it's also being made into a movie or a show. Maybe, might be. Very excited. If you don't know, and I feel like you should because this is a hyped book, but this is basically Hermione Draco Hermione's fan fiction. But I've been told that it's quite dark and you need to be quote unquote ready to read this one. So we're just gonna have to see. Now, the next book is also one I'm going to be doubling up on, which is a buddy read and a subgenre from one of my favorite genres, which is Dead Summer. And the way that I found this was on the Discord. Again, if you are thinking of doing the 72-day readathon, join the Discord, even if it's just for this aspect. It's getting really dark now because of the clouds. I'm hoping I can fix that, but there was just this one sentence that got me to hop onto this buddy read, which is let's hear it for some dark romance set at a summer slash camp. I'm in. I'm in. I'm in. It seems like it's going to be dark horror romance, which I've never read. And what makes it even more exciting is that I'm going to be listening to it. on Storytel. So I think my commutes to work are about to get way more interesting. So yeah, thank you for Egyptian Spirit and Paperback Stash on Discord for actually allowing me to join their buddy read. I'm very excited. And then for a book translated from another language, I decided to go with Tales from the Café, which is the second book in the Before the Coffee Gets Cold series. And Before the Coffee Gets Cold has been known to, or for me in my personal reading journey, has been known in this year to get me out of my reading slump. So I'm very excited to actually now get to the second one. If you don't know what this is about a cafe where you can go, drink coffee, and get transported back, but also forward in time. So, and you need to drink the coffee before it gets cold, otherwise, you get stuck and it's a whole ordeal. So, I feel like this might just be more stories from people that are time traveling or just people that come and visit the cafe and talk about it. I'm not sure, but these are very wholesome short stories and I just want to get back to it. It's also very short, so I feel like I should be able to finish it in the next 2 weeks. Now, the next two prompts are prompts that I actually haven't picked a book for, but I feel like we can double up on this one, which is a book set in a place I've never been. Any of these books that I've mentioned to you have places that I've never been. So I'm quite sure that whichever book I decide to read, is going to get checked off. Now, the other prompt is a random pick from my TBR. So, what I think I'm going to do is if I do end up actually wanting to read or having time to read a book for this prompt, I think I'm going to just look at my bookshelf, put all of the books that I haven't read in a spinner wheel and let the spinner wheel decide. You know, we love a spinner wheel over here. So I think that's what I'm going to do with that. And then the last prompt is to start a series you've never picked up before. Now, as I mentioned, I could double up on the deal and do that. Or, which is also a book that's been on my TBR for a while, I can go with Five Broken Blades. So, with that, we kind of have a little bit of a choice. Now, this is a book about, I think, if I'm not mistaken, um, five assassins. Like they get put on a little bit of a task to go and, I don't know, assassinate? I don't know. And there's also one member of the royal family that's involved, I think. I could be very wrong, but it's giving the possibility of being Six of Crows esque, and I love me some Six of Crows. So if this has that type of vibe of having the found family and like a group of people that have couplings going on and also really good banter, this might actually have the possibility of becoming a new favorite series.
Okay, so I thought I would give you guys a little bit of an update. We are currently on day 5, and I have already been listening to Dead of Summer, and it's been interesting. I kind of don't know what to think about it. If any of you have ever played a video game called The Quarry, when I started it, it really gave me those vibes, and I was very excited to get started in that. And then I didn't know we were gonna figure out the serial killer part so soon in the story. And there is look up trigger warnings is what I'll say. If you want to read this story, I think you should very much look up trigger warnings because there have been parts where I've been very uncomfortable and it's been making me doubt whether or not to continue this story or to just DNF it. I'm just going to be honest with you. I enjoy the writing style. I enjoy the banter. I enjoy our female main character because she's like really spunky. So I do enjoy that. But then there's also the other aspect, which is kind of the main aspect of the story that I'm kind of having like second thoughts about. I think I'm just gonna hop into the Discord for the buddy read and talk to the people there and see how they're feeling about it. It's very interesting because I knew this was going to be horror, but right now it's feeling more psychological horror than it does actually slasher horror, which is what I was hoping for, and that is not happening. Also, it says that it's a romance. It's not a romance, at least not at this point yet. There's very little consent going on. And that is the part where I don't really know if I want to continue it. So it's interesting. So it is also currently the national Belgian holiday, so I have the day off. And I was hoping to do a picnic, but now there's, again, lots and lots of clouds. So I don't know if it's actually going to be fun to go outside and have a picnic, but I'm hoping it's going to clear up in the afternoon because it has been doing that throughout the week. And then, hopefully, if we do get the picnic side, we're going to take the Night and the Moth outside and we're going to start this outside because I just haven't had time to pick up a book physically. I've had a very busy weekend, so it was very difficult to actually physically read a book. And when it came to Dead of Summer, I had that on audio. So I've been listening to that when I was traveling for work, and that has been interesting to listen to that book while going to work and then just shutting that off. So let's all hope that this overcast weather disappears and it actually gets sunny so that we can get to this. I have snacks. I have everything ready to go. I just need a little bit clearer skies. We are now officially over a week into the 72-day readathon. I had sprints yesterday and enjoyed myself very much. We had a very fun time. And yesterday, I actually ended up finishing 2 books, which was very surprising and I was very happy about. So now
I'm just going to give you guys the update about those books. So the two books that I finished were Dead of Summer and Tales from the Café. Like I thought, I was able to finish this in one day. And let's start with Dead of Summer. That was a buddy read that I decided to do, and also a subgenre that I hadn't read before, which I thought was going to be romance horror and just turned out to be dark romance. Now I'm still counting it because the only dark romance that I think I've read is, I would say, Lights Out, and that was quite okay. This one was a lot more intense, considering about 20% in, I was thinking about DNFing it because consent seemed to be a suggestion in there. And that was the part that really got me a little bit nervous. So I figured, you know what, we're just going to keep going. And it was kind of weird because I felt like my struggles with continuing the book were the same struggles that our female main character was going through when it came to their relationship with the male main character. So the fact that I even just finished it was kind of a win in and of itself. I did end up giving it 2.5 stars. There were bits that I enjoyed, but when you look at the cover, you think you're gonna get way more horror elements, and that just wasn't a thing. Even a little bit of horror, or like, I don't even feel like it was that. I don't even think it was a thriller. The really whodunit kind of aspect didn't come in until 90% in. Other than that, it was just this camp counselor trying and being manipulated into thinking that she had to be under this person's thumb so he didn't kill everyone. Now, I don't think that's a spoiler because that is basically the premise that is being set out in the first 5 minutes. Just so you know. And that's just a dark romance. There's not really much horror in there. So I was very disappointed in that, which I'm sad to say. Even now, talking about it, I think 2.5 stars may even be pushing it. On to bigger and better things. Not really bigger because it's a tiny book, but Tales from the Cafe, I really did enjoy. I listened to this and read it. I switched between the two considering or depending on what I was doing. And I enjoyed going back to the cafe. It's a very nice thing because there's a bunch of short stories in here, but while that is happening, you also get updates on the people that are actually running the cafe. And weirdly enough, it's kind of a subplot. Like what's happening with the main, like the business owners of the cafe is kind of a subplot. But it's also not, or it shouldn't be, because they're actually running the cafe. The lessons in here, there were very obvious life lessons. I think the most obvious one was how to honor the people that have passed, and how you do that, and how you give meaning to someone passing. And I think that was a very nice through line throughout this entire book. And it was just lovely. It feels like a warm hug. It feels like a warm cup of coffee reading this book, which is very apt. I didn't cry the same way I did in the previous book. So this is a 4.5. If I had cried, it would have been a 5. But I did get chills at the end of this book. And now I'm also very excited to keep continuing because we do get updates on how the people that are running the cafe are doing, how that family is doing. And something happens at the end of this book that is making me very excited to see how a certain character evolves. And it was
especially the last story and like the last couple of pages was such a nice analogy between nature and how nature has seasons and how we do as well. And just that entire thing felt very, I don't know, it feels very nice. It was a very nice thing to experience. So now what I did, because those were the two books that I decided to read, and I decided I wanted to go for a walk this morning, and I needed a new audiobook for that. Because obviously I was listening to Dead of Summer, and that is now finished. So what I did was I wrote down my TBR, and I decided to roll dice because I am a dice girly. I am a D&D girly, so I do have dice. I even roll a new set of dice, which I don't think you guys have seen yet. And yeah, the dice chose violence. So yeah, they chose violence because I rolled a number 5, which was the Song of Achilles. Yeah, I've heard about that book. I've heard the things. So we now have listened to about 10% of the Song of Achilles. I do also have it on my Kobo, so I might go to immersive reading this when I have the time. Other than that, it's just going to be my listen on my way to work. That might need to end at a certain point in time when it gets very emotional. We might need to stop that. So, so yes, I'm very cautious about keeping this as my carpool audiobook. We are already 10% in because I did almost go for an hour-long walk. And I'm very much enjoying it. Madeline Miller has quickly become one of my favorite people to read about, and she is coming out with a new short story soon. So I'm very excited to get my hands on that. I do not have a physical copy of the Song of Achilles. Are the chances very high that when I finish this and it also becomes a favorite, I will buy the Song of Achilles as well as Circe? Yes, very much so. But I've also seen that Song of Achilles is also not that very long of an audiobook. And if I have calculated things correctly, if I listen to it every single time I carpool, I might even be able to finish it this week, which again is insanity. And I think I'm going to use the Song of Achilles for both a random generated book as well as a debut. Because if I am correct and Google is correct, Song of Achilles was Madeline Miller's debut novel. So that's great. And while I was doing that and when I came back, I did decide to update my reading journal and look at the bingo board for the new path. And by going on a picnic, we have done pretty well in the first week, if I do say so myself. We are getting very close to a bingo already. So for me, that's a win. I'm hoping I'm not looking at the self-care prompts as something that I also want to check off during the week that I focus on a certain board, because that's going to feel forced. I just want those to happen. But when it comes to the reading prompts, I feel like we're going to be doing okay. It is currently Wednesday, and I just finished the Song of Achilles, and I cried. I'm so happy that I decided to finish it here at home and not while I was driving, because that would have not been good. It got me very scared for a second because especially like the past couple of, I'm sorry, I look like a mess. There's tear blotches on my shirt. I'm sorry. But hey, so yeah, I got a little bit scared at the end that they weren't actually gonna be together. And that just made my heart get ready to break. So it was another. I get why people are so obsessed or like very. I don't know. I get why people love this story. It's a twist on what we know, especially when it comes to the movie. I remember, and now I feel like I want to. I know we can't really fact check because nothing was there to check, but I feel like now I want to really dive into this and see how much of it is truth and how much of it is speculation, how much of it is pure fiction. So now I'm kind of intrigued to figure that out. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. I think now we have about 2 days left for the new path, but I have finished 3 books in 2 weeks, which is not bad. I need to gather my thoughts. So obviously we still have The Knight and the Moth to finish because otherwise Donna will lynch me. But I do really want to continue with that. But I think it's pretty obvious that there will be no more book that I will finish up until Friday. But I will update you. I think it's going to be on Saturday because Friday I do have the entire day to go to work and then I'm having dinner at my parents'. So I will see you in a second when it is Saturday and we go back to spinning a wheel and we figure out what the next board is that we're going to focus on. I sound hoarse from the emotions. It's fine. It's time for the final update for the new path. I did not finish another book as I thought I would never. So let's just go through or watch what I've actually completed on the bingo board, which I don't think I did all that bad. I finished 3 books in 2 weeks, which I have not been able to do for a very long time. So I've been very happy about that. I don't think anyone is going to be surprised that The Song of Achilles was my absolute favorite out of the 3 that I read. Tales from the Café is a very close second, obviously. But it's just The Song of Achilles. I cried at the end of that. So there's really no other way to score that. And I've been enjoying this immensely. Now, I am still in the middle of 2 books. So I am still wanting to continue with Wolf Song. I was really hoping that I was going to be able to finish it by this weekend and join Livia on their conversation about it, but sadly, life happened. And because it is a book that I want to annotate, I wasn't actually able to listen to it while I drove to work. So that has been taking up a lot of the potential reading time. So that is a book that I'm still in the middle of, as well as The Knight and the Moth. And as I mentioned before, if I do not finish that book by the end of this readathon, I don't think Donna and I will be able to continue to be friends because she will hate me. So now all that is left to do is figure out what the actual next board is that we're going to focus on. So we're going to do this in the exact same way that we did it before, which is that we're going to spin the wheel. So first and foremost, as you can see, I did actually take out the new path just because I didn't think that with 3 books, or first of all, I didn't think that I was going to be able to have read 3 books already. So that was a big plus. And then second of all, I didn't think that I was going to be able to double up on so many. So coming back to the new path would kind of mean
that I wouldn't have many prompts left, which is a luxury. So let's just now figure out which of the other 4 boards I'm going to be focusing on for the next 2 weeks.